Gigabyte A16 13620H 5070 with the 165 Hz or the 1200p screen. Okay, so 1200p. I should highlight that fact very clearly. Okay, this is important point. Why? You will see soon. Okay, so this is basically the summary is this is basically the cheapest laptop. However, what it says on the specs is not what you actually get. So even though it says 5070, it more performs like a 5060. The 5060 variant performs like a 5050. So one tier down. Whatever they are saying, it's not performing up to standard with the 5060 and the 5070, at least for those two. The display, the 165 Hz display, is terrible, has terrible color accuracy, like 60% sRGB. What does that mean is that colors will be completely washed out. It will be a horrible experience. Okay, so yeah. And also there is so much input latency that even though it says 165 Hz screen, it performs more like a 60 Hz screen. Okay, last thing, this is an H CPU, Intel 13th gen CPU, but H CPU, so you cannot just undervolt and try to somehow stop the spike in temperature. Okay, the lower average temperatures are quite cool, 75-76 degrees, but whenever like while playing a game, a map loads or there is suddenly a CPU high powered CPU usage immediately gets high, the CPU temps will go up to 98 degrees. It will immediately drop to lower temps, that is sure, but that peak you probably cannot fix it because this is not an HX CPU. You can try with throttle stop or something, try to disable performance, but that is not a given. Okay, anyways, those are the main summary of the laptop. Overall laptop, main consideration of this laptop is simply, is there other laptop that is better than this? Okay, if you cut these specs, okay, it says 5070, cut it down to 5060. It says 165 Hz, cut it down to 60% to 60 Hz display. So most other laptop apart from the terrible Dell Alienware that I did a review on will be better than this. So yeah, I think you will always find something better than this, and the only reason to consider this is if there is a huge sale. Okay, that's the summary of the video. Now let's get into the cautions. One caution I have not written here: if you are ordering it from Amazon UK or US, make sure the seller is only amazon.com. okay, I added the address for both, and you can see the seller is amazon.com. Why? Because they will give you a return period, okay, a better experience. So there are quite a few. If you go through the negative reviews, I will go over them right now. There are quite a few things that might just ruin your experience, and you might want to return it immediately. So please, if you are ordering from Amazon, make sure to order from amazon.com seller only. Amazon has become a marketplace. Anyone can sell there. Okay, if I suddenly decide I want to scam people, I will make an Amazon account and I will sell literally anything there and not return you. That is a very common thing. Okay, so only order from amazon.com, so that if you don't like it, you can at least get your full money refund within a month. Links for both will be on the top. As you know, all links are affiliated links. It helps me if you buy them. Moving on to cautions. That was the first caution. Okay, only buy from that seller. So the first important thing is there are a lot of other laptops which are better than this. Okay, there are a lot of other laptops from almost all brand in the same price range. Okay, only if this laptop gets a huge price drop, okay, and other laptops either are not available or are very expensive, only then you should consider this laptop. Okay, do not buy it thinking you're getting a good value for money at the standard price. Okay, 1200p screen, I already said this, it says 165 hertz, performs more like a 60 hertz display. There are 5050 and 5060 variant. As I said, the 5060 performs like a 5050, the 5070 performs like a 50, so one tier down. 5070 performs like a 5060. 5050 I couldn't get data, so let's not talk about this. This review is mainly about the 5070 because that is the one most people will look into. Gigabyte might be a great brand when it comes to motherboards. Problem is, when it comes to laptop, they just find a third party Chinese company and just tell them, like Clevo, just make a laptop, we'll put our brand name on it, and that's a bad habit. They should try to do some things from their own end. Okay, in fact, if you look for some Clevo laptop, you will find it's the exact same laptop. Okay, also with this A16, they have sent this laptop to a lot of YouTube reviewers, to a lot of website, but they made sure to give them a better screen. Okay, so a lot of reviewers will actually have the 1600p 100% sRGB screen, and what you will normally find is the terrible this 165 hertz screen, which performs like a 60 hertz screen and is like 60% sRGB, very washed out color. It will not be a good experience. Gigabyte support is almost non-existent from in UK and US. I mean, you can try to talk to them, I mean in terms of laptops. Okay, so, and here is about the review that I said. What was the important point here? Okay, the important point is the reason why you would want to contact the support is because the included software that changes the performance mode, lights and everything, it just crashes. Okay, and also there is some bug. So whenever you power on the system, it asks you about power profile, especially if you're on battery, and due to that what happens is GPU sometimes doesn't perform completely. It feels like it's on battery power, so some sort of bug is there. Hopefully it can be fixed later, but the point is, these are the reasons why you might want to contact Gigabyte support, and reviews on US market is not great about Gigabyte service. Anyways, let's talk about pros. We talked a lot. we did talk about a lot about the questions. So what's good here? Okay, consistent CPU and GPU performance. Okay, even though the performance is lower, at least it's consistent. Due to lower CPU GPU performance, both remain quite cool. CPU even in stress is like 74-75 degrees, GPU 78 degrees. So we are talking average temps, longer temps. Okay, so not the spikes. Okay, so spikes will still be 98 degrees, but while you are gaming, if you just check the core average temperatures, they will be lower. It will spike from time to time a bit, but like when loading map in a big huge battle, what do you call that game, terrible game, PUBG. Yeah. Good battery life, considering it's a gaming laptop. In standard tests it's 7-8 hours, but realistically more like 4-5 hours. Don't game on the laptop, but if you do, still 2 hours plus. Anyways, in some weak games, not good games. Even though the CPU is quite old, so 13th Intel is now on 14th, 15th is the 100 series, 16th is the 200 series. So we are 4 generations ahead now, and there is talk of a new generation. So it's like 4-5 generation old CPU, but considering the price, it performs the same as a little bit lower than the same. Currently you have heard about the CPU, the 250 8845. So it is all right, it's not bad, but for the price I think it's all right. For the price it's all right, but just know that it's not the best performing CPU. It's nowhere close to 255HX or 8940HX, but from what I check, I don't think those are in this price range. If they are, go for that. Display is quite usable. I should cross this line. I did not check the 100%. It's not usable. It's terrible. This line needs to go away. This is a terrible line. 2 SSD, 2 RAM slot, and officially they say so. A lot of brands have the habit of you know, just writing on their website that this cheaper laptop will only support 32 GB, or that we have only tested with 16 GB RAM, when it can actually support a lot more. Gigabyte has just went out and clearly wrote that it officially supports 64 gigs of RAM, 30 to 32, and officially supports 2 gig SSD. So that's a good thing. Speakers are pretty good. It's just very surprising to find a good speaker in a budget gaming laptop. For some reason it's very good. However, while gaming, the fan get too loud, so you can't use it while gaming, but for movie watching and everything it's fine. But does it even matter if the display is so washed out? I don't know. Maybe audiobooks while working on Excel, maybe that's the use case. Mux switch, so you can directly use DGPU for maximum performance. However, you will have to restart the laptop, go into BIOS and change it there. I should have noted it down here. It's like every pro and good thing I'm turning into a con. Plenty of ports, however the ports are very slow. All the ports are very slow, 5 Gbps and less. That's why I say people to go to the website, because I will update this information later. Laptop opens 200 rating. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth speeds are fine. Laptops and chargers are a bit lower in weight and thinner when compared to other. Of course, it's a gaming laptop. Of course, it's heavy, but when you start to compare it with other laptops, it is quite thin and quite compared to other laptops, it's thinner, and the weight is also slightly lower than other laptops. Alright keyboard and alright touchpad, nothing to complain about. Idle laptop is quiet. There is IR camera in, so you can use face unlock, Windows hello. You can limit the battery charging to 60%, so that it will last longer if you just plan to use it normally. Although it's all plastic, the whole body is quite sturdy. However, there is a lot of flex on the keyboard and the display, so long term will again be a question. Gaming laptop, so even though it is lower than other gaming laptop, it is still a gaming laptop, so expect some sort of weight. However, the charger isn't as heavy as other laptop and not as huge. What I'm trying to say with all this, that someone for a college student or someone who needs a little bit more battery life on the go, maybe you can consider it. No camera shutter button, use a tape. Gets loud under full load, already said that. Usable touchpad. Bad, despite no numpad, there's crammed arrow keys. Yeah, you will get used to it. No Thunderbolt, no USB 4, that is expected. Slightly issue having, so this issue, I should actually note it here, that most Windows 11 laptops have this issue, that everything is sluggish. You can't use it for any sort of real-time application. If you are working like an audio engineer, just get rid of Windows 11, install Windows 10, and whatever you are using, you will have a great experience, because for that immediate response is needed. I still understand that Windows 10 is out of support, but if your work is important, like for me, maintaining everything, website and everything is super important for me, so I do not take a chance. I stick on Windows 10. Yes, 10, not 11. All the USBs are very slow. As you can see, all the USB ports are like 5 Gbps and one USB is like 480 Mbps. That's an age-old CPU. Mux switch can only be changed via BIOS, so if you want a little bit more performance, you directly connect the mux and slightly lower latency. That's when you turn on the mux switch. But come on, man, the response times are horrible on this laptop, so just keep the mux switch off, so that when you unplug the charger, you have slightly more battery life. I should note it down here. I will note it down there. Webcam is terrible. I don't know what's wrong here. Jared did a video, it should be in the references. There is a slight motion blur in the camera, unusable. 100% sRGB is only for the higher tier 1600p screen, at which price point you will find a lot more laptops. This is the worst at 60% sRGB and 1200p screen. It says 165 Hz, performs like 60 Hz. Yeah, this is quite an important thing. Laptop keyboard heats up to 50 degrees. Yes, on the top it goes up to 50 degrees on the top keys, but on the middle case it crosses 45-46 degrees. What it means is that if you are gaming on this laptop, using the laptop's keyboard, it can get uncomfortably warm, and this might be just the reason for you to return the laptop. Okay, everything else maybe you can accept it for given the price, but this thing might be the reason to not even consider this laptop, and I will completely understand. However, if you are in a place where you can test the laptop and return it, sure, why not try it. No numpad, despite I'm talking about the 5070 variant. Okay, it's not as much as bad in the lower tier variant. Anyways, no numpad. It's a large laptop. I don't know why they didn't give a numpad. SSD throttles a lot. There is something wrong with the SSD. Be ready to spend a few more money, 50 to 100, just to get a decent enough SSD. If they included SSD matter. See, there is a lot of things wrong with the laptop, but it might just not matter to you. Okay, so that's why I say buy it and return it. Okay, buy it if it's really cheap, return it. If you do not have an option to return it, do not buy it. There are other options. Oh yeah, I already talked about the 57 underperforming. Anyways, moving on. Also, there is another Gigabyte Aero A16 laptop that also has the same GPU performance issue. CPU, I already talked about this, that it hits 98 degrees, but you can't tune it to go below. Remember, the temperatures, average temperatures on load is like 75 degrees. It's very cool, but it hits 98 degrees, and that spike might be fine for the CPU, but it can't be set for other components on beside the CPU, so the PSU and every other things. There is one more section that I made. Let's just quickly talk about it. Let's say you bought this laptop and you cannot return it, and if you have the higher 1600p screen, there is a slight green tint on this display, but you can download this ICM file provided by Notebook Check, and the greenish tint will go away. You can try to tweak the lower 165 Hz display, but nah. You can try to use throttle stop to try to lower the performance. And there is one more thing that I have to add here, that is keep good care of the thermal pastes. Okay, so the thermal paste that is on the CPU, GPU, that you already can check with normal performance, but the components beside the CPU, GPU, okay, there is a small thermal putty that is put there, or something you have to put there. Okay, I actually have not done this. Give me a second. So on my website ni6hnt.com, I will add thermal paste here. So, okay, so we are talking about thermal paste for except CPU and GPU. So this is CPU, GPU only. Where is the other one? Yeah, so we are talking about VRMs and PSU. So other things, this is terrible right now. I will update it later, but the point is, if you have this laptop, be ready to monitor those times. And yeah, we are of course talking about those who can't return it. Anyways, so point is, just CPU and GPU thermal paste is not enough. You will have to keep checking how is the thermal paste on the other side of the laptop, because this is not an HX CPU. You cannot undervolt it. You can try to disable turbo with the throttle stop, but that's not a I have tried to use it on older Acer laptops. It doesn't work. Anyways, point is, moving on. So this was pros, cons after you buy it. Other stuff, benchmarks are here, everything else is here, time spy scores are here, pictures are here. Let me just go through the keyboard. So this is what I talked about, this horrible little thing. And on anything else, anything else there is just one thing I want to show you. Where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. So the CPU heats up to 96, 97, 98 degrees, but it drops to 73. Okay, here it is, 98 degrees. CPU goes up to that high, but if you see the normal temperatures at low, What that means in long term, that might be an issue if you want to use a laptop for a long time. Now let's come back to the important, very important thing. Should you even consider this laptop? No. Try to find other laptops in the same price range. There are a lot of other options, okay, from every brand. Whichever brand you want, there should be a lot of options. The only time to consider this laptop is like there is a huge discount and you are fine with the terrible display. What's the other thing? Underperforming GPU. So if it says 5070, compare it with other laptops that are 5060. If it says the 5060, compare it with other laptops that are 5050. Okay, display, if it's the 1200p screen, assume it's a 60 hertz terrible washed out display screen. So anything else? I guess, yeah, that's it. And who would I give this laptop to? So you use external display, you use external keyboard, okay, while you are at home, and when you go out to work or your college or stuff, you just use it for some basic stuff. That might be a considerable that might be a use case, and you are fine with opening the laptop, cleaning it up and doing a lot of technical stuff yourself. I'm talking about the software stuff, like completely removing Windows 11 from it and installing Windows 11, Windows 10, or even Linux or something. If you are fine with all, at least removing Windows 11 and getting Windows 10, it even though it doesn't have a support, because the included Gigabyte software is it just shows up as Trojan because it collects so much data. My Malwarebytes thinks it's Trojan. Anyways, so consider this when there is no other option left. There is like huge discount on this laptop. You're fine doing with a lot of you do not care about the display as much, and you do not care about performance, as much performance. But I think that can be compensated by a huge discount. So if there is a huge discount, you see, yeah, you can consider it. You're fine with the terrible display, you're fine with opening up the laptop, and well, you can consider it. Just don't expect Gigabyte to pick your call up and help you through anything. Anyways, so that's this review. See you guys next time.